Alright, sorry if the volume's messed up. We're getting a lot of wind and I'm trying to adjust everything for it. This is our stock intake manifold as it sits in the engine. Here's our new one that's going to be going on. Some of our accessory bolts and that sort of thing. And the basic tools you need. For the most part, this is pretty much just removing your dipstick tube, the electrical for the intake here, this electrical that's sitting on the intake manifold itself, just removing it from the stud. That stud is going to then be transferred to the new manifold, and the 4 bolts holding the manifold actually onto the intake. Then cleaning up the gaskets and going from there. I'm going to start. Hopefully the wind is not going to kill everything here. So. Alright, so the dipstick tube is now unbolted from the intake manifold. I'm going to now take off the intake boot. And that's right here for you guys. I'm just going to loosen that up for right now. Move on to the electrical in the back end. Alright, still need a little bit more on that one. Back to the ratchet. My truck's an 07, it's got about 56,000 miles, still somewhat clean, but some of these bolts are still a pain to get loosened. I'm breaking free the electrical wiring hooking to the intake heater block. Actually, I just learned something new here. You didn't actually have to take both of those bolts off, just the one that's the wire's connecting to. There's a jumper in there that connects the two together. So here's a closer shot of that. I took both those off. Didn't really need to. I only needed to take the one on the right off. Hope you guys can see that in here. Alright, pull the wiring off the intake stud. And there's a little washer hidden behind there I'm going to keep as well. Alright, now it's unbolting the intake and getting everything to that point. This my first time jumping in here, so let's see what this looks like under here. The bolts aren't super tight, just need a little bit to turn them, then you're good to go. So those are the 4 bolts on the intake. All loosened up, ready to pull out. So now, just got to wiggle the rubber boot off the end of the intake manifold itself. Clamp is plenty loose. Just got to work the intake off of the boot. Alright, easier said than done. To each their own on this. What I like to do is just try and wedge a screwdriver in there, break the seal, then it gives it a little bit of ability to slip this thing around. So now you can see the intake will move freely on the boot. Just work as well. And the shoe's off. So here's the comparison between the stock intake and the new CFM Plus intake. You've got the stock intake, it tapers down really tight. CFM Plus is designed in a way doesn't allow it to taper, gets smoother airflow. Across the top, you see that this pinches down really tight to get these bolt holes, you get access to those bolts. Whereas the CFM Plus, the bolts are going to be studs actually going in here, and there's no need for the taper. Gives a lot smoother transition and decent power increase. I'm going to shut the camera off for now, clean up the gasket materials, then I'll be back to install the studs.